Good evening, everyone. Let's get into our stream tonight. Hey, Chris. Hey, everyone else who may be present or watching on demand. So glad to have you here. Just going to lower that sound. Hopefully, my voice is good, not being overwhelmed by the music. We're going to have a pretty chill stream this morning, tonight, depending on wherever you are. Pretty much just going to be doing some building inside of Energy Exchange. Definitely be checking the chat now and then, but otherwise, probably just going to be kind of getting into the work itself. So I hope you were all doing well out there. Let's take a look at what we're really going to be doing tonight. Actually, why don't I go over here? Amongst other things, we're pretty much going to be building out a little bit of the Energy Exchange. Not really sure how many of these pieces we're going to be going through, but we're definitely going to try to take a look at the pedal unit. I honestly have no idea what it was actually called. What else? Let's look through some of my other source materials. Here's the other photo I have of this. We will, if I can find the source image here somewhere, already built that, so that's good. Maybe I don't actually have the source. Well, okay, so the crank, we're also going to see if we can build out a little bit. Sadly, I think that's pretty much the best photo I have as of right now. So, like with everything else inside of early Epcot, can't say there is a whole lot of material that we can really, use as part of this. But we'll make do with the best we can. That's what we've been doing all along to this point. So let's just flick back to that other one. Let me just go back here. Let's go back to that other source just so we can have it on screen while I'm actually working. If you have any questions, by all means, leave it in the chat. I will be taking a look at that now and then. All right, so we actually make that a little bit, you know what, let's go to this one first. Yeah, that's probably a better one. All right, so let's take a look at where we actually are right now. This is the initial version. Ignore the black square at the top. That's more of a reminder than anything. This is pretty much where we are for this piece right now, which, I mean, more or less is pretty accurate for what we're kind of looking at. Definitely some things we're going to want to change. All of this handlebar unit, you can see it's much more of a kind of triangle, so we're going to make sure we get rid of that. Probably just wipe that out. And, except it's really behaving weirdly. Oh, it's because for some reason it is duplicated. So yeah, you can see I did this much earlier, and very weird things are happening. So we need to fix that. We have this top unit. I don't even know if it's really even visible in any of our research, but there actually is like a little camera type plastic unit up at the top. Make sure we get that fixed up. Going to also change some of the supports down at the bottom. I think that'll be a good place to start. Yeah, it's kind of interesting they pretty much had the same ones, Chris, in both Wonders of Life and Energy Exchange. But yeah, they are really similar. Obviously, I remember, yeah, you know, the Wonders of Life ones too, because you know, with the actual video, it was pretty nifty. I don't know a whole lot of what was really on these. I don't know if there's really video of what was on the screens at that point. So let's take a look at one of the common issues I have in Blender. You can see the left and right of the circle gauge units. The left one is actually the way it should be. It has real actual geometry. That's good. I can click it, I can move it around. This one, everything is inverted basically, which is why it looks like it's kind of inside out. Because I had no idea what I was doing for most of the project before, you know, I really kind of brought it into Unreal. A lot of what we call the normals were flipped, and it was causing quite a lot of difficulty. In fact, something else weird is happening here. There we go. Let's get rid of that one as well. Okay, so that'll be another thing we're going to work on fixing. So let's take a look back at the source. All right. So just to make our lives easier, I'm probably not going to be narrating everything here, but I think it'll be a whole lot easier if we can just make this aligned with the XY axis. That way we're not going to have to deal with weird angles. All right. Cool. Mostly what I do is kind of take a lot of guesses on what these things were actually either shaped like or the sizes. So right now, kind of just looking to build out the kind of little cross pieces that connect the handlebar support with the main unit. So I should go for about 6 inches. Also really curious if this Communicore loop is going to be caught by copyright. In my little test stream I did, some random universe of energy stream was captured, which basically blocked the whole thing, which was super frustrating. Hoping no one really cares about the Communicore loop in 2022 at this point. Is that too low? I'd say that's about right. Alright, got that. Let's make sure these are orange. Those seem to be the same. Yeah, those are the same material between the post and the main support. Alright, well that part is done. May want to move this in just a little bit. Starting simple for tonight. Okay, so let's take a look at the actual support. Pretty much it seems to be a single curved tube in a triangle with curved corners. Should be easy enough. Sort of easy enough. Okay, let's do this. If you're wondering why everything seems to take so very long, it's because everything really does just take forever. Kind of just a requirement of this whole project. You know what? No, we're going to do this differently. That may work. Nice, Chris. If you can maybe send that over to me on Facebook Messenger, that would be really nice to have. I thought I usually do a pretty good job of especially scouring Retro WDW, but obviously it is super easy for me to miss a whole bunch. Alright, that doesn't look all that bad. Let's see if we can join these together. Yeah, I think that'll work. But we also just want to take all of this, actually. Cheers, thanks, Chris. Appreciate it. Cheers, thanks, Raphael. Thanks for joining. Thanks, everyone else who's here. Really do appreciate it. Like I said, I don't think this is necessarily going to be the most edge of your seat enthralling, but if anyone's ever been curious about what it is that I do, so many hours each week, this is pretty much going to be it. Alright, so right now you can see it's a little bit weird because I'm basically shading this as if it was a flat object. But I go to Shade Smooth, and you can kind of see it's really being treated as a curved unit at this point. Do a little bit of smoothing because some of this is looking a bit odd. No, it's looking okay. Great. Join that in, and it has recolored it because of course it did. that'll work. And, you know, it's looking like really all of this should probably be brought forward a little bit. So it's looking pretty good. And let's save because everything crashes constantly. Okay. Cool. All right, next thing. Let's be lazy. We're going to take this. Actually, we are going to take all of these and move that a little forward. Yeah, Raphael, that's Chris, a really good dude. We have definitely been in contact. One of the issues is he uses a slightly different, well, actually quite a bit of a different system. He has used Unity for his actual game engine, whereas I am using Unreal. So a lot of the core modeling is there, but it's a little different because I'm working so much on 82, you know, while I do go into some other areas now and then, because I'm working so much in 82. It's really most vital that I have the construction version, which I currently have. Perhaps in the future we could actually merge them together. He has done really excellent work, though. Chris is quite talented. Okay, so there appears to be this. Again, it's mainly just guessing because that's all I really do in this. All right, so there appears to be a little triangular. How should we do this? All right, a triangular piece. That didn't go well. Why? There we go. The easiest assumption is that I just hit the wrong button. Okay. Whoops. Yes, different Chris from Chris, although you are differently talented in the 3D printing space. Chris, was that you who I saw earlier did the lightsaber stand? I blearily was checking Twitter or Facebook or something. Yeah, that's looking okay. I think it may be a little bit thicker than I might want, so let's rip out half of that. Nice, looks great. I really need to figure out how to get into like the 3D printing space for some of these objects. Obviously some would translate a whole lot better than others, but you know, I think that may be a little too wide at that point. Basically everything I do in this project is take guesses and then end up just tweaking it for hours on end. I actually had, last night I spent prodigious amount of time working on seeing if we can actually get 360 video set up in Unreal. Obviously I've been able to do the 360 images on Kula, which is really cool, but yeah, no pun. But we are actually able to take full-on video in 4K in 360 and then upload it to YouTube. Dealing with quite a few issues just trying to get it live, but I have a kind of proof of concept I just tested out, so that's looking pretty cool. Very, very nice to know that that's a possibility. I think this may finally give us the ability to kind of have people who don't have Mondo computers like this very loud and expensive thing, a way that they can really be able to experience the project, which would make me very, very happy. So that is cool. All right, let's do a test here. Okay, so that's the rough line. Thanks, Chris. Nice, very cool. Yeah, more than happy to reach out when I get to that point. I just know that it's very different than the modeling I've kind of been doing to this point. So what we are looking for is there was like this camera thing up at the top. I'm trying to roughly work out how the angles would be for it. If anyone has any questions on what I'm doing, more than happy to answer at any point. Hopefully I won't get too lost in thought. This is one where there's basically no imagery at all around it, so I'm pretty much just going to have to guess, probably fix it up at a later point, but I think this will probably suffice for now. Good question, Chris. Currently, no more merchandise for Centaurium. The person who created the really great-looking mugs at one point had been creating some shirts, and I really think that's going to be necessary to kind of fill in everything else that's going on, so I'm very much looking forward to that, but not quite yet done, so that is a little bit TBD. Much like a lot in this, it's kind of just waiting for some work to be done, and then I kind of pick up other areas. Cheers, thanks Raphael, really glad to have you make it. Hope you are well, and have a good one. Alright, I don't really know what this thing looked like. I do know it was orange, so let me fix that. I'm just gonna assume that it was in like this, and it had a black metal interior. You can also see that Blender does a truly crap job with the materials in actually being able to cull them down, which is why over the course of this 3 years, it's somehow aggregated like, oh, isn't this beautiful? 35 different versions of the same black metal texture. Well done. Okay. This VP is Blender. It is a free program, which is extremely cool, that is used for 3D modeling, video editing, animation, probably audio editing. I haven't really figured that part out yet, but it's probably in here somewhere. It's amazing. It is an incredible, incredible program. And it's, as mentioned, totally free, which makes picking it up a bit easier. It's definitely a bit of a learning curve, but other than a few little online classes, pretty much taught myself, so it is doable, as long as you can look back at your previous work and fix it, because it's probably going to be pretty weird. So for anyone who is joining, we are working on the, let me actually go full screen again for a moment. We're working on this pedal unit thing from Energy Exchange in Communicore from many, many years ago. No longer there, but of course that's why I'm doing this project. Yeah, hey Grayson, nice to have you here. Yes, Blender is available for Linux. It must be available for Mac as well. It's kind of available for everything. Again, totally free, which still blows my mind. While I have spent a fair deal of money on various plugins and whatnot for both Unreal and Blender, the fact that the main 2 bits of software I use for this program or project were totally free is pretty incredible. Okay, so we have the back pieces, we have those connected, we have the handrail, we have the inset there looking a little bit better. I should probably go in and put actual CRT screens in instead of the flats, but that just seems like a lot of work at this point. Yeah, there's a lot of really weird looking stuff that we are having to create here, so whenever I can actually use off-the-shelf assets, it's just this absolutely wonderful day. So, what we are going to do now is this photo helpfully cuts it out entirely. This is the best we can currently do, because of course we need to figure out the dial that is in the bottom left hand of that. Oh hey, yeah, I think I more or less got the little triangular bit correct. That's good to see. One other little thing, whoops, another little thing I need to change is, come on. Let's put a loop cut. Let's take this. Nope, that didn't go well. It's probably the more exact way to do this, but I'm just lazy to do it too lazy to do it the right way right now. That is going to be orange. Great. No wonder we have performance issues. Alright, we have that. That is looking pretty good. Yeah, I mean, it's weird, because, like, it actually kinda is. I can see why they did it, but, yeah, that was actually the first thing we built today, because I had built them more like, you know, handlebars instead of a, you know, call to dinner triangle, but I guess it's what they wanted. Right. So let's do an inset. Yeah, exactly. Looks like it's really only on the left-hand side. So we separated this from the rest of the unit. Hopefully we shouldn't have any light bleed there. Okay. So let's say we have this. We're going to go like this. Let's actually remove this from the object entirely. We may get a little bit of odd shading because of this, but probably the best we can do right now. Yeah, the rectangular piece on the right-hand side, Chris, I'm guessing is kind of like a instruction placard. Unfortunately, it's things like that that I just have to totally guess on, so I may just put in like lorem ipsum text like I've done in Futurecom. Alright, this is where it always gets a little bit finicky. Let's add in a circle. Nope. And there goes the Communicore audio, where it just kind of cuts off. I think that may have been Martin who actually recorded that, if I recall. Let's see if I can put in another one without getting copyright struck entirely. Tell me if that audio is a little too loud. I don't want to blow anyone's ears out. Yep, Chris, exactly. Getting those game posters, which we still hasn't necessarily found any better versions of, but, you know, that's pretty much the project in a nutshell. Alright, brought it down a little. Hopefully that'll be better. It always gets extremely weird when you need to... Good point, Tom. It always gets extremely weird whenever you are trying to have like one of these insets where you have to have a flat object and then have a cutout in the middle just because the geometry and the shading ends up being just totally nuts. See, like that. That's what usually happens. So we'll deal with that in a bit. Alright, we're going to try doing this instead. Oh my, you are so annoying, system. Alright, we're going to do this then. Okay. So let's see if we can actually have this do a Boolean without it completely screwing everything up. I'm gonna save. Hopefully this won't bring my entire stream down. Only half joking, Boolean has caused some pretty massive headaches in the past. Okay, let's say that actually worked. I'm just gonna ignore that, Chris. And cool, I think that should work. Now we should have a very nice, handy dial gauge available. Okay, we're going to actually have to create a new placeholder for a gauge, which I'm probably misspelling because that's just one I am incapable of getting right. But you can see that the geometry is kind of screwed up because of that Boolean process, and now it's split in this awkward way. It just ends up being a little ugly, which can cause some issues with shading, but probably the best we can do right now. Let's make this white. Actually, no, we said we were doing the gauge for that, and still probably bringing that back. If I want to be fancy, I could even say that we are going to have glass. Alright. So I think that's probably the best we can do for that right now. Join that back together, and we'll deal with the shading issues later. Okay. If I had to guess, I'm going to say this is kind of like a little plastic block. It's so hard to say. It's hard to tell if it's like plastic that's just reflecting the orange in the back, or whether it's just actually just orange there. You know what, I'm just going to keep this orange. That's so much easier to deal with right now. And since I don't really know what's on that, probably just leave that as is at the moment. Okay, cool. So that is good. Let's head a little bit higher up. And yeah, that's about right. Whoa, did not want to do that. That's better. Yeah, I'll probably just end up checking the video and just see if for some reason it happened to be caught on whatever that actually was. Alright, this, however, definitely looks to be the, like, shiny... Okay, and I'll make up some text for that later on. Alright, next thing. I know it is saving a whole bunch of polygons, but I'm really not a fan of how jagged this looks, so let's fix it up. Still jagged, but less so in this case. I've listened to this music so many times. Make that shiny metal, and we have these really rough edges, which is not great, so we'll put in a bevel. There we go. I think that's a good deal better. Come on. There we go. Cool. Otherwise, I think that's looking pretty okay. I could probably work on actually making the seat flip up more at the end, but to be honest, that would be a really huge pain, so I don't know how motivated I am to really go through that right now. Here's something we can do. Let's take that one, this one, this loop. The modeling is so much better when you have what we call edge loops. One of these lines that actually just extends along, well, an entire section. Because with that, assuming this actually works and there's no weird geometry inside, I should be able to yeah, it's a bit better. I don't know why this got so weird. Ah, that's not good. So that's what happens when something really strange is going on. That's probably not helping matters. Why do you exist? Excellent, Josh. Welcome. So glad to have you here. Yeah, Blender is awesome. It's pretty cool what you can really do with it. Hey, Imagination, no worries. So glad to have you here. So, just for anyone who is joining, we are building out the very poorly, apparently, because this is going extremely strangely. We are building out the bike pedal unit thing at Energy Exchange. Except this is giving me a headache, and I don't really know why. Okay, let's try this. Nope, still being really strange. It really shouldn't do this. It should just be beveling right around the edge. I managed to take that one offline because I'm not really sure why it is doing that. that is weird. Well, no matter. I can deal with that later. But that's a lot of Blender. It's not really even knowing, at least if you're me, why something is going wrong. So that's fun. Otherwise, I think that is probably looking pretty good overall. Let's join this back in. Let's make sure I didn't leave anything behind, which I did. Cool. It's an intense program, Chris. There is a lot that goes into it. I mean, it's great, and I'm so thankful that it exists, but yeah, it can be pretty brutal at times. Now, let's see if we can clean up this geometry a little bit. So what I'm pretty much doing here is making sure that everything is at the exact same level to see if we can actually merge some of the vertices together, because then we'll actually have one of those edge loops I was talking about before. Okay. The fun way to do this, especially if you're getting new to Blender, is you actually just scale everything to 0%, and that smushes everything down. Now, theoretically, if I select everything and I go to merge these vertices, we got rid of 4 of them. Hopefully, I can mostly choose the edge loops there, so that's good. Yeah, Grayson, no, it absolutely would be easier to do. Mirror, this is very, very quick and dirty for this one particular thing. I agree completely. That's what I often do. Although even then, because the pedals are going to be are always going to be at a different height, and I don't yet want them as their own object, although I probably will at some point in the future. I'm just kind of brute forcing it for this one. No, but I definitely use mirror for a ton of other areas. Don't look too close at the oil rig, hint, hint. All right. Hey, Jason. Welcome. Cool. I would say that isn't too bad. Maybe later on I'll actually put this into Unreal, because I do have that open in the background. And yeah, exactly, Grayson, just like the monitors as well, because obviously we'll have to UV map that. Although, given that we're probably never going to get the source video for this, I have a feeling they're all going to be little blue or black screens for the foreseeable future. Okay, so I'd say that's looking pretty okay. If you may have noticed in the background, we are now in Interventions music, so we'll see what happens with the copyright strike. Alright, one more thing I'm going to do here, which is choose the bottom of this plane, putting our handy 3D cursor, set origin to the 3D cursor, set the cursor to the middle of the entire... Did that do it right? Yep, okay. To the entirety of the map, and then move this to the center. So this means that when I actually do bring it into... it means that when I actually bring it into Unreal, it means I can just move it itself without having this really weird offset where it's like 700 feet away. So if, I think I mentioned this in the past, that this is the dead center of Future World. The dead center of Future World. That is why it is on the exact axis between land and horizons, and north to south as well. Because of that, that's why it is at 0, 0, 0. And that is why I have, in fact, quite a lot more than that. Here's everything I currently have at 0, 0, 0. A plant, a bench, the Universe of Energy wall, Computer Central, little bit of everything. It's a bit of a garbage show over there. That's why when you're actually walking around Unreal, typically you'll see something, for one reason or another, kind of stuck at 0, 0, 0. Fun times. It's also why you have your little population dude a little bit offset so we can go perfectly around that circle. Good times. Okay, so I'd say that is pretty much good to go. Let me update that on my list. We'll call that done. Let's go to the next one. And yeah, this is big time Interventions music here. This is what I most recall from my version of Future World. Boy, look how dark these photos are. What am I looking for? Not that. That's right, it was way back at the beginning. The photo in the upper left, that is about the best we have for this right now, so we'll get on working on that in just a little bit. Cool to hear, Grayson, excuse me. I hope it is very good. Should probably start thinking about lunch at some point today, but... No, ooh, I have leftover Indian. Hallelujah. Glad to hear that. Cool. Why don't we do a little bit of a tour, actually? In between working around various objects, we can do a bit of a tour. What I will say is that this is the night version right now, and it's probably going to look a little jank. But, in fact, actually quite a bit jank because it's way too washed out. But... Thanks, Jason. Yeah, you definitely, unfortunately, have to hear me complain on Discord about the, 64 by 64 images that I actually have available. But yeah, we're able to pull the source in one way or another. Alright, so let's take a look at energy exchange. I know it's been a while since I've actually shown this, so a couple interesting things are happening here. First off, I'm using what's called screen space for our global illumination. It means that I am able to get, well, considering I'm streaming, I have Blender open and I have Unreal Engine 5 open. I'm getting 47 frames a second, which isn't too bad. But that's because if I change the post process, I think this is the one, to global illumination, if I use the handy new lumen, notice how there really isn't that much different in how it actually ends up looking with the fancy new UE5 version. The primary difference is I'm now getting 17 to 19 frames per second. So that's one of the things I'm still trying to deal with as of right now. Thanks, Imagination. Appreciate that. There we go. Now we're back at about 50. Alright, so let's take a look at Communicore Communicore East North. So right now I should probably set exactly where we are. So heading out, there's the big ball. There is the starry sky, which is totally realistic for Orlando at any time of year. There's Earth Station, and here's a place I didn't bother to put any lights. So don't worry about that. It is also raining, I think? Is it? Yep, it is definitely still raining. So we're trying to get in from the cold. We have our computer central to the left. Right-hand side, we have our travel port. Speaking of having basically no research material available whatsoever, we have Amex travel port. We have Stargate. The sign isn't totally accurate, but kind of is what it is. This I just have as opaque plastic right now. Technically, this should be a glass. Unfortunately, glass in UE5 is currently a total mess, so we're still trying to figure out how to deal with that. And up top, we have the... probably shouldn't actually be lit up because it's nighttime, and I'm pretty sure those were only sunlight, but that is what it is. Let's put Wedway in. Here's our people mover, for anyone who loves it as much as I do. Let's take a look at energy exchange and where we currently stand. Yeah, I like Communicore. I think it's been cool, even with the amount of effort it took to really build out. But I think Communicore's time has really passed. So much about what we did in Communicore is also kind of what I did at the Museum of Science in Boston. I think it was revolutionary for the time. Good deal, less so now. Actually, I have the moving sign. Did get that working a few days ago, so that's pretty nifty. It's a little hard to see. I'll zoom in and stop the camera for a bit. I'm not able to use the carpet that I actually want as of right now because it's not yet working for Unreal 5, which is a bit of a bummer, but I at least have a bit of a texture working right now. It could just be a little hard when I have the lights set up a little bit too high, like we have right now. So we'll continue down the ramp. Yeah, and I'm glad that the touchscreen car game is something that we actually do have some video of at this point. So theoretically in the future we can actually work on recreating that. Alright, so these things may look familiar because it's where we started with earlier today. Hopefully those pedal units are looking a little bit better. I, however, need to do this. That's a little better. Although we really need to stop using 30 units for that. Okay, that's a bit better. Still need to fix some issues with each of these installs. I had built them in a really weird way. I need to fix. It's nighttime, so we're probably not going to see much of the reflections off of the satellite? I don't really know what that is. Space telescope. Built this out last week, so this was the solar unit section. Lights are up at the top, they beam down, they hit each of these 6 black circle things here, which in my assumption then makes the brushed steel dials, I don't know what to call any of these, actually spin around. Yeah, and you know, Grayson, what I really find funny about original Epcot and everything is like the current crap version of Journey to Imagination has now been around for 20 years. Meanwhile, the you know, like they were like, well, we need to start replacing everything because Epcot's been open for 12 years and people are going to stop coming. And it's pretty crazy how much longer everything lasts now. You know, if some of these things were able to hold on for like a year or two, they probably would still be around today. Yeah, it's hey Dad, how you doing? Should have said hi earlier. Apologies for that. But hope you guys are doing well up there, and it's hopefully warmed up a little bit up in Boston. Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm currently at 1,400, 1,500 different lights, because there's a lot that's going on. It's amazing the change that it can really make, and depending on the ambient settings that you really have, other things can be in just total darkness otherwise. Hey Mom, how you doing? I assume she would be there, but I assume she wouldn't be commenting herself. Yeah, so you can block that. Theoretically, that'll spin. It means I'm going to have to build that out, but that should not be a whole lot of effort. I apparently did not build that in yet. So we may be able to do that in a little bit, assuming I can get it to work. So a little bit of work to do up at the top. This has actually been rebuilt from scratch. We have these screen units around the edge. I actually now have a little bit of footage on what these look like. That's probably going to need to be a total teardown for what we're really doing in that case. I have absolutely no idea what was in this. No idea what the floor looks like, excuse me. No idea what's in there. I don't even know if this exists. Oh, very cool. Chris, I'm sure you told me that in the past, but yeah, that is very cool. He worked on Backstage Magic and also that show that came first. But cool, I'm glad that he's been following. Hope he is approving and hope it looks vaguely accurate. These kind of 2001 plinth type things, let me actually just hop back to our research. I've been able to find a little bit on what those actually were. So you can kind of see it in the back center. I hope my cursor is actually coming up here. Wait for the stream to catch up a little bit. If you look kind of in the center part of the screen, good, my cursor is coming up. You can see that we have these stainless steel, brushed steel, whatever, rectangle things around. I think I've been able to find, there we go. It seems to actually be kind of like a cross-section of the Earth, sorta, kinda. So there are like blues and yellows inside of this to probably talk about different dirt levels. Still have no idea what it actually is doing. You can see a little bit of a better shot directly down and to the left of the Stargate. And the oil rig photo as well. That's another thing I'll probably need to build out. Yeah. Anyway, back to the tour. This is the globe. Haven't actually textured that yet. Here's another. I think this may actually be another glass encased display unit. I need to review exactly what's going on with there. Let's head a little bit farther back here. So this is a pretty recent change. In most of the photos, you see it looks to be like a view of Antarctica and the world and something else. It's like this three-part. That seems to have not actually been an original opening day item. For 82 to maybe 84, they were enclosed in this dark glass for some reason. It's really hard to get good photos of what was really going on there, but I did make that change when I discovered that with oil rigs. Here's another one of those curved screen units I'm probably going to end up having to replace. And this took quite a lot of time. Kind of oil rig pipes is what I assume. Obviously I need to work on lighting these a little bit. Why don't I fix that? Let's take this one, bring it down. I'll rough these in for now just to get the lighting right, and then I'm probably going to have to go through and actually create light fixtures for them, because that tends to make them look a little bit less weird and floaty. Okay. Shout out to the interventions loop that still uses listen to the land. A blowout protector. Awesome. I probably should have asked you first. Before I actually, built the thing out. Oh, cool. Then at least I Googled, like, oil rig pipes, and there were a lot. There were a lot of oil rig pipes. Nothing looked exactly like this, so I may just need to do some sense checking on that. Cool. Alright, that is a little bit better. Way too strong. Yeah, that'll work. And where's the light? There we go. Alright, so yeah, I mean, it's not the most complex. It took me probably about half hour, 45 minutes just to build these out, just to make sure we have something pretty accurate for that time. Dad always comes in clutch. He has a huge breadth of knowledge. It is really good to rely on. I don't like that purple. There we go. Let's go purple gloss. I mean, that is a horrendous color combination, but I'm afraid it's actually accurate. Let me see if I can find the source image, and then I'll put it on screen. I mean, what goes better than green and purple, right? That's why so many sports teams use that color scheme. Yeah, it's pretty accurate. I don't like that one bit, but it does seem to be accurate. Is what it is. Yeah, exactly. That's full-on Joker right there, for better or worse. Back to Unreal. Here is the rock. The rock is basically a much smaller rock that I made a big rock. Thank you, Quixel Bridge, for having a pretty high def. Considering this thing's only supposed to be like 1 foot by 1 foot, I mean, that's not bad. And it's not that huge. Probably a fair number of polygons, but could be worse. Pretty happy with how that turned out. Especially because I didn't have to do a whole lot of work. This we can do some work on. I don't have a whole lot of great source imagery on it. Let me see if I can find any shot of what this looked like. Anything? I'll put this on screen if I can actually find something of it. Otherwise, I may just be taking a guess. It may have been in like an image where I saw what this thing looks like. Nope, it's blocked by the rock in any of the photos near it. Oh well, then that means I get to guess. And no one can really contradict me. For what it's worth, this is my favorite of the Intervention songs. Not even close. this to me is what it really brings together that 90s interventions in future world feel. Right, okay, let's do some build. Of course, it was already wiped out by Horizon, so never mind. Alright, let's go over to... So as near as I can... Whoa, did not want to do that. As near as I can tell, this had a bit of an inset, let's say about... Yeah, and let's take each of their origins, push that in a little bit. Whoa, that's way too far. You know what, never mind. I'm going to do this. Alright, let's assume this didn't push all the way through. So... that will work. And as you can see, it's being shaded as if it is a curved object, which is causing a whole bunch of weirdness right now. I'll work on fixing that in a minute. In fact, all of this is very weird. I'm going to separate this out to its own object. And here's my awesome naming scheme. I have no idea. Red, black, storage case. Not having any idea what these things actually did or what was stored within, it's always a little bit of a guess. Cool. So there is that. This is in fact shaded smooth. This is giving me agita. That's better. Put in some auto shading or auto smoothing. That looks a good deal less bad. Alright, let's take this at 0.75. Again, if anyone has any questions at any point, either on what I'm doing or anything else, just let me know. Okay, still have no idea what this thing actually does, but at least I can bring it over to Unreal at this point. Moving on. Cool. Okay, so that'll be good. Let's actually see if I can bring that in. Alright. Again, hopefully this won't take down the entire stream. So we're going to send this over to Unreal, and we're going to see there's going to be a lot of really, really strange stuff that's happening. Yeah, Chris, World of Motion is definitely in progress. I'd say the biggest issues right now are I'm going to need hundreds of, not hundreds, dozens to over 100 different audio animatronics and characters and animals and all of that stuff. The actual architectural modeling isn't freaking me out too badly. It is all the audio animatronics that really freak me out. I know that's not something I'd ever really be able to do myself because the architectural stuff I actually enjoy in spite of the misery. The character stuff I'm just not going to have the ability to do. No motivation. That's right, I forgot that I was working on the pre-entry area earlier, and that's why we have like thousands and thousands of polygons that are also being re-imported at the time, so we'll let that work its way out. Let's switch over to Unreal. I don't think Unreal is loving being on stream and having to work through all of this. This is a beast of a machine, but even then there are limits. Yeah, this is taking its sweet time. Normally this just flies through this whole operation. Okay, so this has glass in it, so we are not going to be able to build nanite. I honestly don't know if any of this is even appearing on the screen. Nope, it isn't, so let me just rush through. For some reason, the Streamlabs is not capturing that. Okay, we can delete this. We can't delete this. We have EE black paint. All right. Need to do a little bit of a modification here. Alright, we're going to take all the pre-entry stuff and move that in my extremely complicated naming and collection scheme. Okay, black paint, and what about that gray carpet? EE dark gray carpet was just that. Okay. Cool, so that should work better now. Alright, let's switch to... These are all of the levels on the right-hand side, by the way. So each of these is basically their own unit or lighting scheme. This is only a small section of what we're going to need, because for Communicore, I'm then going to have to add things like, you know, the 1981 specific version, the 1980 version, the full extension version, and then all the different bits that make that work and not collide with everything else. So probably have another like 20 or so levels even to add beyond this. So that's fun. Alright, so we are going to whatever, there we go, energy exchange. And then I get to remember my stupid naming scheme for this. There we go. EE black red. Put that in. Hey, there we go. Now I need to figure out the materials. This is not going to be very well textured right now, but I can always go back and fix it later. Whoa, that was not right. Why is... Oh, I think I made a mistake. Alright. We'll fix that in a moment. That'll work. Let's go back and make a little bit of an adjustment. Arg. Why are you doing that? I love when the system does things I can't understand, especially when I'm on stream. See if we can kick that over and figure out why the glass isn't. There it is. Now it's actually working. Thanks, system. Cool, so I'll need to work on just the... You know what, I'm not going to go with the carpet for that. Let's see if I have some other dark gray. Alright, shading is still a little weird on that, but I can always deal with that later. This is a little bit more detailed there now. Alright, so that's kind of our quick tour of where we currently stand with energy exchange. This is one area I really want to fix, so let's see if I can find the research photo and what this should look like. It's a minor thing, but it's been bugging me. Alright. So when you the little stairway down, also they mismatched the top and the bottom of the trash can, which is pretty funny. Looks like the actual staircase is a little bit different than what I had. Why don't I go in and fix that now? Whoops, didn't want to do that. Okay, I don't need to save this at all because none of these even exist. Oh, the research photo does not appear to still be on. Let's see if I can fix that. Cool, that should be showing now. Nope, I just did something wrong. Alright. Get rid of that. That's a bit more accurate now. There's our classic loop again. Alright. Let's see. Okay. So theoretically, we take this bit and this bit. We put in an in set, about a half. Cool. Now it's actually connected to something. Wonder how many of these songs are going to be copyright claimed. My favorite part about yesterday's copyright claim is I was streaming to absolutely nobody because it was just our test, and even then YouTube made sure that it would be monetized for the nobody who will be viewing. Very cool, Google. Cheers. Have a good one, Grayson. Thanks for showing up. Well, at least this is very fitting Communicore music. Yeah, I love that. Is you know, there's just no logic at all behind the copyright claim system. It's completely baffling. Not my favorite thing in the world. All right, I should probably actually name this something correct. This is the energy exchange Northeast Stair Unit. Let's see if I can remember that name in about 15 seconds. Oh, that's great, Chris. That's absolutely, wonderful. What I love most is, you can have a stream that's like 4 hours long or whatever, and you have 3 seconds of a muffled clip in the background, and so they claim the entire video. Just top-notch decision making there. That was not what I wanted to do. Got it, so we're going to need to fix that. C8182 Communicore carpet. Of which I have 4 versions, because I'm very good at this. Alright, bring that in. And Pollux the cat says hi. He is slinking around, probably terrified about something or another. For an animal that has no predators whatsoever, he sure is freaking out all the time.